All right, y'all. So this video is going to be for anybody who, I've been dropping late content. So if anybody who can't really sleep at this time and you just need something to ride out to, man, and maybe just fall asleep to, bro, I'm your guy. I got you. But as you guys can see the title, this is huge, man. You see me, I get excited reading about stuff like this in the multimedia space, in the gaming industry and movies and in music, just everything like that. I love learning about it because for me, when you indulge so much or garner so much information and your day-to-day becomes kind of that, it's exciting just to see the new things that are happening. Now, it may not always be the best thing, but hey, look, and I'm gonna try to do this all in one take. I don't even want to stop my recording to fix any errors, man. This is just gonna be a one take thing. From time to time, we might do this until maybe I build another channel up or platform wherever where I could throw stuff like this on there. Now, you guys see the title again. This is insane. This is insane. And I got some information, some points here. I'm gonna read some of this stuff off to you, okay? EA was sold for $55 billion September 29th of this year by stockholders in Saudi, and I think Jared Kushner, and by this whole public investment fund, by their investor groups, right? Silver Lake Partners and et cetera, et cetera. It was sold for $55 billion. Electronic Arts, right? Then we had Xbox back in 2021. They acquired Bethesda for $7.5 billion. They acquired Bethesda's parent company, ZeniMax, as well. This is disgusting, first and foremost. Bethesda was only sold for $7.5 billion. That's how much Xbox bought them out for. We had Bungie, who makes Destiny, and that new, oh man, I forgot the name of it, but it's this extraction shooter. They basically Sony bought them for $3.6 billion in 2022. Disney paid a total of $71.3 billion for 21st Century Fox's entertainment assets. You guys know what time it is with that. Then Marvel movies started going through the roof because Disney now got their rights back to X-Men, Fantastic Four, etc., etc. Netflix acquired WWE, the streaming rights, the global streaming rights, PLEs, all that other good stuff for $5 billion for 10 years. That's like highway robbery, okay? With all this being said, today it was just announced. Let me get my notes out there because this is disgusting work, y'all. This is disgusting, but I get excited. Hold on, where is it? Because I couldn't even believe my eyes. Now, let me go ahead and get this. Netflix acquired Warner Bros. For $87.2 billion. 87 of them things. 87.2 billion. That is one of the largest, not saying if the largest or if not the largest, but one of the largest acquisitions we've seen in the last 5 years since COVID. COVID was one of the most scariest times of our lives. Companies was going down, airports was being shut down, TV became irrelevant, sorta, and it all became about streaming media. And who came out alive? It was Paramount, Amazon Prime Video. You had Crunchyroll that was struggling, and I think Sony bought them, or if I could be incorrect about that. But then you had Netflix thriving, HBO was thriving, like all these companies was trying to thrive off of this. This is an insane situation. So how it happened was there was a bidding war going on, and Paramount accused Warner Bros. And Netflix for rigging the whole bidding or whatever. But it turns out, I think the employees of Paramount are like super embarrassed, if I'm not mistaken, because I guess they only put up like a $5 billion bidding. You were never going to win against Netflix. And for the record, there's a confliction going on. Like, some people are conflicted. So like there's one side that loves this and there's another side that hates this. And from my perspective, coming from wrestling, like me loving wrestling, but hating and disliking everything about what's going on with wrestling today, whether if it's the Netflix situation and the PLEs and the storylines, Netflix hasn't been like, it's not that it's Netflix's fault, but whatever agreements they have, there's still ads on there unless you're like in Canada or certain countries. And it's only Raw, and I guess in other countries they're PLEs until whatever ends, whatever. Now, coming from that end, everybody sits here with a negative like thought about it, like, oh nah, I don't like this deal. But to be honest, there's so many positives and negatives about this. One being with Warner Bros, what happens to all their IPs for movies, television shows, applications, They're also the parent company and owner of HBO Max, or the owner of HBO Max. What happens to their gaming division? Warner Bros, bro. Warner Bros. One of the biggest, with Rocksteady and Turtle Rock Studios and all these other companies that are with them that make Batman games. Suicide Squad, obviously that game is doodle, but they make a bunch of other games. Then you have the Harry Potter series, Game of Thrones because of HBO, all this. Well, let's go ahead and just read what's happening, because for me, it's good and bad. I think it's good in the sense that you're able to add exposure to all these branches of content. Cool. From video games and everything, like Netflix having the money, and I don't know who they came together with to just try to get this money, because they're in debt. You know what I'm saying? They're in debt. And being able to do that, hey, listen, they're able to get this going. I just know within a couple of years, they're going to make a lot of this money back anyways. But this is something that's huge. I think it's cool because it exposes something, like it gives exposure to games, deals, brands, different diversification with content and companies, and if allowing still the leadership of those that were in control of certain assets and movies and productions, whether if it's in games or movies and shows, then it can still be smooth sailing. But we all know within the midst of everything, things tend to change. New CEOs, new owners, new people who lead certain companies. Now, from what we see here, it's been acquired, of course, for $87.2 billion. And I'm gonna just read here. It says the initial average stock price for Warner Bros. Was only $16.50. This is for my people who know stocks, okay? And it's sold now for $27.75 per share, representing the company at 70% increase in 3.5 years. That's a lot. So pretty much their stock even went up. It says the deal takes place. Now, this deal, let me just be clear, will not take place until like a whole year. It's going to take a year because remember, the other things are in order. Warner Bros. Has other stuff that they got going on, their whole Discovery joint that they got going on, which we're going to read here. It says it won't be beginning to close until Warner Brothers spins off its Discovery television division, which is expected to be completed by the third quarter of 2026. This means that for at least a year, it will continue to be as business as usual for Warner Bros. Warner Brothers, the studio, will stay intact and will continue to put out movies that will go to movie theaters. Now, before I get to that next part, I just want to be clear. They're going to keep, the question was, is HBO done? Is HBO going to be integrated into Netflix? What's going to happen? I think the smartest thing to do, because again, everybody has their own belief system. It gets political, it gets nasty. Me, I just want to see movies, bro, shows, and I just want to have fun. But in this case, in this scenario here, I think Netflix said that they're going to leave HBO, the app, as a standalone. They're going to have everything being provided there. We don't know for sure if they're just going to say, screw it, we're going to bring Game of Thrones over to Netflix as well. However, I think there's like over 130 something subscriptions. This is some nerdy shit. 130 something subscriptions within HBO, if I'm not mistaken. And then Netflix probably has the most subscribers out of all these applications, right? If they decide to say, screw it, we're going to take Harry Potter over here, or we're going to take all these other exclusivities or other exclusive shows, we're going to bring them over here. Remember, you got Welcome to Derry as well. They could decide to do whatever they want. However, the app is still going to be remaining as their standalone, and they have a whole year to decide what they want to do with that. I think it's good for transparency, for people to understand that when consuming this type of content, there's some people who don't support Netflix because of their business practices and may support HBO. So in this sense, people may stick to HBO. In that case, Netflix is going to say, no, we'll just leave them the way they are. Okay, this is some nerdy shit. So if you guys want to continue seeing me do shit like this on some random occasions, let me know. And also, I might get Chase involved in Trey Raunchy iPod, because this is what we do day to day on some regular Discord call shit when we talking amongst each other as brothers. Now, it says Netflix CEO Ted Sarandos indicated that while Warner Brothers films will remain in theaters, they might look at theatrical release windows, favoring shorter windows within the modern standard of 45 days as opposed to a 90-day window. So what that basically means is that Netflix is going to have them up. Let me reread that. It says films will remain in theaters. They might look at a theatrical release window, favoring shorter windows, meaning like having a shorter time to be in theaters. I don't know if that's a good or a positive, but then straight to Netflix, that can save a lot of people money. Then again, that's more money for Netflix. That's more money for Netflix, because then they're going to want people to drive subscriptions in and get more money. Now, within actors, if you want to go ahead and do that, like Scarlett Johansson suing Disney because she wanted Black Widow to be in theaters as they promised, and they didn't go on with the deal, and they dropped it, basically stealth dropping it on the Disney app. She sued, and she basically won that lawsuit, because what happens with a lot of actors, A-list stars or whoever, that can ruin their reputation, that can ruin their resume, that looks bad on their end, that a movie that they've done at whatever age that they are is only releasing on an application, not really in theaters. That's what these companies want. They want box office numbers. So that can be a little disparaging. I don't know how people are going to take that. Now it says HBO Max will continue to operate as a standalone. It says the plan for HBO Max is to remain a separate functional entity. Through Netflix might consider bundling it or integrating it within a Netflix platform. So many different things that can happen. Maybe you want to see if you have only Netflix and you don't want HBO, you can then go to Netflix, go into HBO if you want. Just like how Hulu has it with Disney ESPN, you can go to the Hulu app and literally click onto like Disney and all these other things. So like it works out in that sense, kind of. It says most of the current creative leadership is staying with Warner Bros., which is a great thing. This includes Michael DeLuca, Pam Abdi, co-chairs of Warner Brothers. You have James Gunn, who is the co-CEO of DC. He's going to actually remain there. He's working on a thing called Sweet Tooth, and he is going to be working on more projects with DC. Now, again, this means that Netflix is going to be the home of Game of Thrones. Absolutely. They going to want that money. It's going to be the home of DC movies, probably TV shows, maybe animated series. There's a lot of questions that I'm going to get to with, I don't know the answer completely. It looks like also they got the Batman Arkham series. They got Mortal Kombat. They got the Lego games, of course, like Lego Batman Legacy that's coming out. They got the Harry Potter franchise. This is just major blockbuster. Netflix has officially became one of the biggest game developer companies in the world. Like one of. They're like now up there with Tencent in them. And I think it's called something Max. I forgot what they're called. But this is it. Like this is actually, oh no, Embracer Group, I think it's called. This is crazy. Now, a lot of people probably wondering, how is this going to affect the video game industry? Now, Netflix is not going to be in the business of trying to destroy games, more so trying to make money for their games. So they might try to, if they're smart, man, like what Microsoft did is so like, oh my God, it doesn't make no sense. You bought out Bethesda for $7.5 billion. You acquired other companies to then close down like subsidiaries. You closed down other studios and like got rid of certain IPs. Like, what was the point of doing that, right? That is like anti-business practice, right? Especially for great games too. And in this sense, what Netflix should not do is close down. They should be smart and invest their money. This should be a W for the gaming industry. For those who don't know, or for those who are not understanding, like right now, Warner Bros. Is not in the best position for games, as the majority of their games have been fucked up. Excuse me, my language. Like Gotham Knights didn't really do well. Suicide Squad did poorly. There's a want for Batman games to come back. This hopefully, maybe they can bring their titles over to like Netflix. Now, again, I'm not saying I'm gonna be playing them, but they might try to integrate some sort of application usage for smart TVs in your mobile devices, because Netflix already has games. They even got WWE 2K25 on there, and it runs pretty well. But also this, like, hopefully within studios that are being shoved behind, like under the rug, like whatever happened to Shadow of Mordor, or even just trying to bring a Batman game out, or Mortal Kombat, which is in one of the worst positions right now. They're not doing very well, and especially to like the eye of everybody who supports Mortal Kombat in NetherRealm Studios, or I said, well, yeah, whatever. And now what's going to happen? So everybody, the talks are that Netflix can possibly try to like build up their brand, but that's just going to be one of the most weirdest things, right? Like Netflix, like you buy a video game case and all of a sudden it's a game by WB and that shit got the Netflix logo on it. Like, I'm just like, what the heck? Or what is Netflix gonna do? I don't know if they're even that good, or they're gonna try to get someone to be as in the creative space for their gaming division. Just know that they're a huge juggernaut now in movies, television shows, animated series, whatever, anime, all that stuff. Another big question is what's gonna happen with DC? What about their physical media, like comic books? What's gonna happen with that? Like, now Netflix has to open up the doors to having creative leaders in charge of that end. I don't want to sit here and disrespect comic books, but somebody's gonna have to be in control of like the physical side of everything with DC, because they're not just all digital. There's so much, like Marvel. that goes into it. So Netflix is going to have a whole big creative space and invest millions into that end, where it's movies, productions. James Gunn, is there a chance that now more DC movies can come out because now James Gunn has free range and more people can now get involved and create movies for them? Netflix has a crazy big production team behind all their shit. So maybe that's a good thing. Plus, let's not act like Netflix movies, like exclusives, don't be hitting. Like, they really do. I think a lot of Netflix movies are really good. It's just a perception of any company that gets greedy. And look, we're in that position right now. People are fucking greedy. Like, this is crazy. Companies are getting greedy. And what this is saying is that for years and years, everybody was always trying to monopolize something. And now it's coming back down to the fact that it's costing $100 million just to make certain video games. Studios are closing. And if they don't have the 100 million, basically, as the consumers just don't digest these games well. They do poorly, they sell poorly, and then all of a sudden they go under the rug. It's a very crazy time right now. It is. This can mean that Netflix want to bring back like Looney Tunes on their brand now. Netflix can bring back so many different things to their platform that we would have probably never seen on Warner Bros. Or HBO or something, because again, they didn't really prioritize it due to money. But y'all let me know, what is y'all thoughts on this? If you made it this far into the video, how do y'all feel about this deal? This shit is crazy. It is. It's crazy. I love to read about it, see it, witness it. I love watching other people's videos. There's so much content out there to learn about what's happening. But it's not fun knowing that we're going to be part of the shit, because one of the big negatives right now, before we get off, is the fact that will our subscription prices be raised? Because Netflix is dirty for that. And Peacock bugging. Will it be raised? Will it still be integrated with our internet providers, which they offer it for free service? We don't know. I don't know. There's just so much going on. So like pay to win services, you got not only just pay to win, but monetization for products. Will Netflix think that pay to win is the wave? Like, do they think that free to play or pay to win or what's those games like live service? What's gonna happen? That's one of the biggest concerns. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Do you think it's a W, bad, whatever? Drop your comment. No, there's no real wrong answer. Just drop your comments and let's have a conversation. I don't care if this video gets 10 views. This is just one of those late night throwaway videos for you guys, man. I love y'all so much. I appreciate y'all, and I'm out of here. God bless.